Hi everyone, another game week, another double game week, this time for Leeds and Southampton. We're very much excited to preview this game week. I'm joined as always by the man who's made the 100 club yet again. He's quick on my tail. The running's going to be interesting. I think there's only 59 points now, so hopefully he's a bit more positive today. We've got the positive Mindy.
Yeah, kind of. So 59 points, what does that work out as? Maybe like 5 points a week I need to catch up.
Yeah, it's not. You're eating into it every week. Well, you're in the top 100k now.
Just outside 107.
Right.
So my rank was 170 before this week. So 70k places almost. I've gone up. But yeah, we'll go through the players and the score in full in a bit when we go through the teams. But it was a few ups and downs for people this week with Burnley players getting injured and people who were on Lowton getting lucky and that sort of thing. What was your overall emotion coming out of that week?
Jammy. Yeah, like you say, a lot of roller coasters in it. Like Diaz not playing the first game, playing the second game, and City not getting a clean sheet in that one, despite playing brilliantly. On the wrong, probably Burnley defensive asset. I was on Pope and had Martinez on the bench, so that kind of backfired. I could have struck lucky and gone with Lowton like yourself, but overall, both of us captaining Gundogan was a great shout, despite not playing the second game. You still got 19 points. You can't ask for much more, even from a double game week.
We should probably touch on that a little bit quickly. We went big on Sterling, didn't we, on the podcast last week? But then,
sorry to the loyal listeners out there.
No, but we did say that we were considering Sterling because Rodri was injured, which would mean Gundogan would be playing deeper.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me when Rodri was back fit. I think that's what tipped it, and we did talk about that. We did say.
And tweeted out that that's what changed our plans as well. Speaking of the Twitter account, actually, we're creeping up to 500 followers, which is a decent little milestone, given we only started a few months ago. Anybody listening, please share the Twitter account, get us some followers, recommend us to your mates. Although I suppose if they're listening to this, maybe they don't have so many mates, but you must have one or two.
It's a desperate state of affairs if they're coming for us for company.
I mean, there are a few people out there listening every week, so I mean, we're doing our bit. What else? Friday night deadline this week, so be ready on Friday with your team. Once the Premier League bloody release some fixtures.
We were hoping to record after the famous double game week announcement for 26 and potentially 27. Pep did let it slip a bit last night, didn't he? You tweeted that out. Around, he was saying he was unhappy that the Southampton and Wolves games are rescheduled in February, which makes you think that the clubs have already been told they're just a bit slow. They must be putting the graphics together.
Something like that. Their Zoom meetings might be playing up like ours were trying to get this going. What was I going to say? So Friday deadline, and we're recording Thursday lunchtime. So anything that happens in the Europa League tonight, injuries or whatever, keep an eye out for that sort of stuff when you're making your team.
No doubt the fixtures will come at 3 p.m. as soon as we step off, but it's the way it is.
We best get straight into it to make sure we don't run out of time. So I'll go first this week with my game week. 105, yeah. So I took out...
All right, sure.
Who did I take out for Lowton? I took out Cancelo for Lowton, actually, which I was a bit worried about because I wanted to have 2 City attackers rather than 2 City defenders for this double. So I took out Cancelo for Lowton and then brought in Gundogan for Harvey Barnes. So yeah, Harvey Barnes got 12, I think, which is annoying. Liverpool capitulating in the second half again. But the only other 2 players I could have taken out were Salah or Son, really. And I don't think I was really considering that. So I can't be too... I'm not kicking myself too much about it. It's just one of those things. And then what else happened in my team? I played Martinez, which was decent. got Kufal off the bench, which is nice. So yeah, apart from Harvey Barnes, most things sort of fell my way this week. What about
Makes a
yourself?
change. You normally complaining about something. I had Kufal coming off the bench as well for Antonio, so we both had the same look there. But I played Pope ahead of Martinez, and Martinez got better score despite playing one game. But other than that, there were obviously some very good positives. Like took out Son for Gundogan because I'm still aiming to bring in Kane, so I'm hoping to have the Spurs cover there. So that was a good decision. And then other than that, defense did well. Kufal, let's say Shaw, Cancelo with 8, and then Diaz probably only one with 2. Bit unfortunate missing that first game. He was out sick, wasn't he? He was on the bench, but I don't think Pep wanted to risk him with the team playing so well, and Laporte stepping in doing really well. So yeah, the one that's struggling at the moment is Jackie Grealish. He's not lighting the house on fire at the moment. He only got 2 points, but Aston Villa have got plenty of doubles to come, so I'm quite keen to keep him around.
Yeah, well, we sort of mentioned, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, that there was that Athletic article about how many minutes the Villa players are getting. Like Dean Smith's not rotating the squad at all and used the least number of substitutions out of any team in the league. So I wonder if that is catching up with some of the Villa players that play week in, week out. Because yeah, like Brighton were all over them for parts of that game. Like Martinez made 9 saves, which when you look at that, it's like they were lucky to hold on for a draw in that game.
Yeah, definitely.
So Grealish's numbers are on the slide when you look at like number of shots, number of chances being created. Whether it's just a blip or not, time will tell. I'm just going to quickly plug the YouTube as well. Now that I've got the new camera set up, so subscribe on YouTube. I could do with actually turning the quality down a little bit on this because it shows every little bit of the face, which is annoying. I was saying to you last week, gonna need a new moisturizer so I don't look funny on the camera.
Is that why you're growing the beard out, going for the rugged Hollywood look?
Well, I think if I work on my skincare regimen, I won't end up looking like I'm 40 in my 20s like you.
Right, nice one.
No comment from yourself. I was expecting a bite or something.
How do I come back from that? You've just gone personal.
God, we've both lost our train of thought now after that. What was the first thing we're talking about? Double game week 25. Let's get into that. Leeds and Southampton. Who've you got currently from those?
So I've currently only got Bamford. I was planning on bringing Rafinha and Kane in this week. I think I'm still gonna do that despite Spurs looking bad. And the interesting one for me was Leeds. What was their match now? Obviously, it was Arsenal 4-2. They still scored 2 goals, but Calvin Phillips is a big miss for them for me in the centre of the park there. And Wolves have kind of turned a corner a bit. They've brought in that striker ahead of Fabio Silva. Fabio Silva looked like he won competition early in the season, so they finally got a bit of a spearhead up front, bringing the best out of Neto and Podence. So it'd be an interesting game that I don't think, if you asked me 2 or 3 game weeks ago, I think Leeds would hammer them, especially away where they're better, and Wolves will have to come out a bit. But I'm not as convinced that they will now. And then Southampton, obviously out of form. They've not won last 5 or 6 now. 5 or 6 on the bounce. Obviously, they got that 9-0 in there. So I probably will still captain Bamford just because I like to captain the double. And I probably will bring Rafinha because they're still scoring goals. But I'm not expecting massive numbers, but I could be wrong. I don't know about yourself.
So yeah, I've currently got Dallas and Bamford. And I'd like to get Rafinha and Ings, but I'm probably
so you're going all out.
Well, I'd like to. I think I'm going to have to pick one because of the strategy for the 2026 and the blank, which we'll talk about later. It makes it hard to get a Southampton player in, basically. So I think I'm more likely to get Rafinha. I saw a stat before that over the last 5, the only player to have less points than Gundogan is Rafinha. So he's got 38 points over the last 5 game weeks. kind of going a little bit under the radar. His ownership's quite low as well. So I'd probably recommend, like, if you're chasing and you're you're behind in your mini leagues or whatever, and you're looking for a differential, Rafinha's probably a good differential captain to Bamford this week because his ownership's so much lower. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I was always Rafinha. If I didn't obviously got Bamford already, he was always the other standout for me. I think Dallas, he's playing midfield, so he's getting a few assists now, isn't he? But Leeds just don't look good for a clean sheet at all. But you kind of, with him playing midfield, you kind of getting the attacking potential as well. So I think if I only had Bamford, I think Rafinha would be the go-to for me ahead of any other asset.
If you've got the transfers and it works with your strategy for the blank, because just to quickly touch on it, Leeds play in the blank. So having 3 leads, depending on what you're doing with your free hits and wildcards and whatever, having 3 leads might be a good plan, because then you've got 3 players playing in the blank 29. Yep. So, and they're cheap enough to go on your bench, aren't they? In the game weeks in between, Dallas and Rafinha, they're both like below 5.5 million. So I wouldn't necessarily put people off Dallas still, because you can always just pop up with a goal like he has been doing. But yeah, I think, like you say, Calvin Phillips is a miss. Something about the way they play, like they don't seem to keep hold of the ball as well, do they? And which means they concede more chances without him. But yeah, so yeah, maybe look out for the team news, see if Calvin Phillips is back before you decide how big to go on Leeds.
Somebody else has just done his presser. He's not fit.
Right. He's not
this
fit.
Weekend. That's why I said it. Yeah.
Okay. Who would you be taking out for Rafinha?
Well, I think at the price point, the easy one for me would be Souček.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing personally as well. But I think a lot of people who have Souček, I think it's quite a straightforward move. I think he's only 0.1 more Rafinha, and no doubt Souček will score now. Now he only scores when I'm not playing him, so that'll probably happen. But West Ham, just to point out ahead of so they do play in 29, sorry, but 26 it's City away, and we're expecting a double there, which we'll touch on. So might be a bad one to get rid of, make way for Rafinha.
Yeah, I'm looking to get rid of Antonio as well soon. Like West Ham, I'm not keen on having my West Ham options at the moment. Should we talk a little bit about Southampton? I think Ings is a decent shout still, because like you mentioned, Pep letting slip that they're going to have an extra game with Southampton. So in the next 3 or 4, that means Southampton have definitely got an extra 2 games compared to other people, I think, once the fixtures come out. So even though Southampton aren't in good form, you'd fancy Ings, given those number of extra games, to get a decent number of points in those. It's just whether you can fit him and Kane and whatever you want in for double game week 26 as well, whether it fits with your with what you've got up front. For me, it doesn't really. I think because I'd like to have Bamford, Calvert-Lewin and Watkins, I think, because Aston Villa are going to have doubles as well, and they've got a few games to catch up on. And I don't have Grealish, so Watkins could be the way I go, I think, eventually, rather than Ings. But yeah, I mean, it could all change once the fixtures get announced and we see what goes where. Hard to say concretely what we'd recommend. I think I wouldn't get a Southampton defender in, though, or anything like that. I think it's probably Ings or bust for me if I was recommending someone to look at Southampton.
Yeah, definitely. Should we go through? Obviously, it depends on what you're going to do over the next few game weeks and what your chip strategy is going to be, as you've said. So I think if you are planning to either free hit 29 or wildcard immediately after, you kind of, these plans that you do, any transfer that you make, you've kind of got to look at that big picture. Obviously, it's going to be a quick turnaround and a lot of doubles coming up. So there's going to be a lot of different ways to play it, depending on what chips you have left and stuff like that.
If you've used your free hit, you don't really want to be transferring out players that play in game week 29 now, because because then you just fucking yourself over basically. I couldn't think of a better way of putting that. And then, but if you still do have your free hit, you can, and you're happy to use it in 29, you can just do what you want really. You don't have to worry about it because then you can just make whatever team you want for that game week. So we still have our free hits, but with what I'm looking at, I'm thinking of still not using it in 29 because I think I'll have.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Because and the thinking there is that if the Villa Spurs game gets rearranged for 29, which is rumoured to, again, Premier League, give us some fixtures. I think I could have a decent enough team for 29 anyway. And there's going to be another blank later on when the League Cup final is and stuff like that. So I might have more of an edge to use it then. Because there's not many people planning for that. So it's City and Spurs in it, League Cup final.
Yeah.
So yeah, there could conceivably be managers with 6 players from those two teams, and then
could have a favourable double as well. Yeah.
So yeah, like I might save my free hit for around then if I can get through this one all right. And yeah, and then my wild card, I might not. I don't think. A few weeks ago, the plan was to wildcard this week and then bench boost in game week 26. But given how late this announcement is, like I don't really want to rush a wildcard together to bench boost in 26. And then we were talking last week about the pitfall of making a wildcard squad with lots of money on the bench for the bench boost, and then you have to carry that expensive bench for the rest of this, for quite a few weeks while you're struggling to fit in all the expensive players that are back now, which we'll talk about later. So I think I'm just going to try and get through the next few without using any of my chips personally. One other option we've not talked about, which I've seen some people doing, is some people are like dead ending their team this week, getting in Leeds and Southampton players, and then either free hitting or wildcard in game week 26 itself to come out to get rid of, so they can max on the 11 doublers in 26. So that's a different way of doing it. If you have got a few Leeds and Southampton players already, and then you don't want them in 26, you can maybe play your wild card in 26 itself and just not bench boost.
Yeah, if you did that though, you need your free hit left in 29 because the people who double in 26 don't have a game in 29. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to have quite a few chips available.
So yeah,
well,
that's that's something we could do, but yeah, I'm not sure myself. I just don't like the idea now of especially this week playing the wild card because of it just feel like a bit of a rush job given how late the fixture announcements come in. Are you thinking about wildcarding next week though, or?
No, since we last spoke, the only thing that's changed for me is bench boost in 26. So I'm going to make 2 transfers this week, Rafinha and Kane in, and that would leave me with 10 double game week, 11 including 2 goalkeepers. So like you say, you don't really want a wild card into a team that's you've got a lot on the bench, and 2 goalkeepers is something that I don't want. So I'm actually going to play 2 transfers this week and then 2 next week, 2 doubles, defenders in. So that would leave me with everyone playing a double, so 13 in total, and then Bamford and Rafinha, and they've got Aston Villa at home, which isn't too difficult of a fixture. So I'm going to bench boost there, and then I've got 7 players for 29. So then I'm going to kind of dead end my team up until then. We talked about dead ending. That's just like build towards that game week, and then wild card immediately after, and then that'll leave me with the bench with the free hit between 31 and 38. So I think that's going to be my strategy now, just because I might as well make the most of it whilst I've got 2 goalkeepers on a double, Pope and Martinez, because I don't really want a wild card with 2 playing goalkeepers. So yeah, that's the only thing that's changed for me.
I look forward to seeing the new breakdown of your plan on Twitter. that tweet you put out last week where you mapped out your
people's heads off.
People were just like, what the I thought about doing my own version of that, and I was just like, I can't even be bothered. Yeah, you'll have to rep us and do another one of those. So at least someone on the podcast is trying.
Yeah, definitely. I just thought to myself when you were talking last week about you don't want a wild card team with too big on the bench. And at the moment, because of the injuries that we had in the past few weeks, my team is actually spread across because there's not many premium players, and they're starting to come back now, which we'll talk about. Obviously, Kane, De Bruyne. So you kind of, when you wild card, you want all the big boys back if they're firing.
So yeah, like with like De Bruyne got 10 minutes last night, didn't he?
Yeah,
Do you think he'll start the next game?
probably not, just because there's no real urge to like. It's different for Spurs because they rely so heavily on Kane now, and they're in a bit of a rut, and they kind of need to play Kane. Whereas City, the form's so good at the moment. If you asked me 2 months ago, then yeah, they'd be rushing him back. But I think they'll just Pep will play it safe. He'll build his fitness in the Champions League, and then he'll want him to peak towards the latter stages of the Champions League and stuff, and the end of the season. So I don't think we'll run him into the ground like Spurs have got to do with Harry Kane.
Because it's while the City players, it's been great having three of them most weeks because they're just consistently winning games and it's great source of points. It feels like the best three to have, seems to like change every week, which is annoying. Like Foden's been a good differential for me recently, but then I'm just a bit concerned that if De Bruyne is back, the high number of minutes Foden's been getting recently will drop off again. So it's just annoying. I might have to use one of my precious transfers over the next few to swap the City boys around again. Given I just did Cancelo out to bring in Gundogan last week, but
it will be interesting to see how the team goes because De Bruyne kind of plays in the position that Cancelo's been playing when we've been going forward. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets managed, whether Cancelo's still playing there.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think Foden still keeps his place in the pecking order with the goals he's been getting recently, but you just can't do any educated guesses like that with Pep, can you?
If you were to play your wildcard tomorrow and you had to pick 3 City assets, who would they be?
It's so hard at the moment because we don't know if Gundogan's back this week, do we?
Yeah, it's just interesting. Aguero's back on the bench now, but I don't think with his value, people are going to be rushing to get him back.
I think I'd probably go Diaz, Stones, and Gundogan because I think like Gundogan will be back quite soon. Like Pep said, he's basically kind of just not risking him, didn't he, in the week?
Yeah.
He said it wasn't a big problem. And even though De Bruyne is back, like you said on the podcast last week, Gundogan's run of goal scoring started when De Bruyne was playing anyway. So
yeah,
can't see that changing. So yeah, and the reason I say Stones over Cancelo, just I reckon Diaz and Stones, the centre backs, will be rotated less. That's the only.
Laporte's played the last 3 though. I think it's just nothing's granted anymore.
Yeah, it's because I guess with the Champions League now, maybe he will play Laporte. Like say if we're saying Diaz and Stones is his first choice centre back pairing, maybe he will play Laporte more in the league now to save their legs a bit for the Champions League. But I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I still think the next 5 or 6 game weeks he'll look to win them all just to get the league out of the way, and then we'll start to see some proper Pep roulette if we do tie it up early.
PPR,
just because the
proper Pep roulette.
Just because we haven't got a points total. Obviously, the 100 season was different because we were chasing the points, but once we've won the league, it's like, and the Champions League is going to be the big one. So yeah, it'll be anyone knows what we'll play. Edison up top.
In 10 years' time, we'll all be getting phone calls and seeing adverts for PPR insurance. What else did we need to talk about there? So, given like on that Ben Quellen spreadsheet for the games that are predicted to double in 26, should we just maybe do a quick look at for people who are wildcarding either this week or in 26 for the doubles, who the top
best
options
fixtures,
are?
Yeah.
So I think Spurs probably come out top, don't they? So yeah, that's why you're looking at Kane this week.
Yeah, they've got Burnley and either Fulham or Southampton. You almost hope it's Southampton at the moment with the way them two are playing.
So I think conceivably you could go Kane and Son if you could afford it with those games.
Yeah, definitely. And they're playing 29 as well. So that's, well, if that fixture gets announced. So Spurs over the next 4. If they're back, I know they're not playing too great, but Kane's still doing the business. He hit the crossbar against City, didn't he, with that mega free kick. So he's still in fine form.
And then who would you say after that? I mean, Everton's games that are predicted are either it'll be Southampton and then either Aston Villa or West Brom. So if that was West Brom, then that's great. That's great for if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's back.
Yeah, that's why I'm keeping him around. Yeah.
I think that's a good shout. That's why I'm keeping Calvert-Lewin as well. Ancelotti originally said that he was only going to miss 1 game, but then he missed the City game as well. So I don't know if maybe the injury was worse.
Yeah, but he said in his presser last night he's back for the derby. So maybe they just thought City got no chance. Let's keep him back. But yeah, he definitely said in his presser that he's back for the derby.
And then after that, who what's
City is the obvious one as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
West Ham, and then Wolves or Southampton.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think I think stick with 3 City players if you're wildcarding. Basically, I don't think like you say, until the Champions League really gets going, you can hopefully still rely on 3 decent City starters each week.
Villa, Leeds, and then Everton or Sheffield United. So keep your Villa assets around.
Leeds have only got 1 in 26, right? 1 game.
Yeah, Villa played Leeds, but then they've got another one. So Everton or Sheffield United, but Leeds have got 1. Yeah.
So Villa. It's an interesting one, Villa, because like we've just been saying, their form's not ideal, but yeah, with their doubles, you'd probably still want someone, wouldn't you? Like Martinez just looks a lot for the goalkeeper.
It's almost as if it's Martinez and one other, isn't it? Like 3 almost seems too much with the form that they're in.
I wouldn't treble up. I'd say probably Grealish or Watkins.
Yeah. Or if you've got your bench boost, then potentially target someone potentially, but yeah, I'd only go 1 attacking option.
Actually, I guess a team we've not really talked about recently that much that have an all right double potentially in 26 is Leicester, and they're on good form as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like someone who nobody will have, I don't think, will be Vardy. He could be a great differential.
Yeah.
And then the player I just got rid of, Harvey Barnes. He's just been saying he's like really motivated to play well at the moment to try and get in the England squad. So
Maddison's not short of confidence either. They're going under the radar and they're loving it, aren't they? The confidence is so high.
A team that we can comfortably avoid if you wildcard in 26 is Crystal Palace.
No Zaha, no party. I think they've won 2 without Zaha since he joined, and it's more fixtures than you think. I think it's above 20, and they've won 2 or something.
What about United? So their double would be Chelsea and Crystal Palace if it gets confirmed.
Yeah. Bruno, everyone's got, and then potentially. Well, I know that the defense hasn't looked great recently. I've got Luke Shaw, and he's getting assists, even though he's not necessarily getting clean sheet. So
yeah, I think if you're going to use your bench boost in 26, Luke Shaw, given his price, is a good one to have in your defense, isn't he?
Yeah.
Chelsea don't double in 26, do
they? United and Liverpool.
Okay. Because a player who's been catching the eye recently, a blast from the past, is Marcus Alonso.
We talked about him last week, didn't he? He's flying. Then he got rested to get the game before we did the preview last week because Chilwell's obviously behind him. But when he's been playing exceptionally, hasn't he? And
yeah, I don't have them to hand annoyingly, but his shots. I saw his shots in the box numbers for weekend just gone, and yeah, he's back to his old tricks. That
defense looks really good. It's almost as if who's the player? Rudiger's only 4.5, 4.6. He looks pretty nailed, doesn't he? And then it's a shame really because Mendy could have put pressure on Martinez as the other keeper, but it looks like Kepa's been given a run as well, so probably won't touch that.
Yeah, it was strange that he gave Kepa 2 games, but then afterwards he said Mendy's definitely still number 1. I wonder if they're just trying to put Kepa in the shop window a bit, showing that he's half decent still. I don't know. Can't really get my head around it. One other thing, I guess, to talk about while we're on this. So we were talking about Kane and De Bruyne being back, and people might be trying to work them in if they're changing their teams around this week. If you had to get rid of someone who's part of the current template, like say Fernandes or Salah, to make room for the players with the best double game weeks and stuff, who would you
Get rid of Fernandes or Salah? No chance.
Yeah, but not everyone's got your team value.
All right. Well, because like Salah's been ticking along nicely despite Liverpool's form, hasn't he? And then midweek he was brilliant, really good. And I'm just reluctant to sell. So if you had me at gunpoint between the two, I'd probably say Fernandes. But Fernandes is great too. Yeah. You'd want Salah, Fernandes, and then one other, I think. And Gundogan kind of allows you to do that.
So after Newcastle, Fernandez's fixtures are Chelsea away, City away, West Ham at home, and then blank. So with Spurs' fixtures, I'm just thinking like there will be people who maybe want to double Son and Kane. And to afford that, that's why I'm saying some people have been talking about getting rid of one of Fernandes or Salah.
Right, so Fernandes, so it'd be Son, Kane, and then one of them, yeah.
Because like, what's your team value currently? Must be pretty high now, like over 105.
107.7.
107.7. So yeah, mine's like just over 105. I think I don't know what I've done. I've not been making as many early transfers, and I fucked up taking in and out Bamford, which lost me a lot of value a few weeks ago. But yeah, like people who are on below 105, they might struggle to have the three City players they want: Kane, Son, etc.
Yeah, true.
I'd say Salah's fixtures look better, and yeah, he's shown that even when Liverpool are playing badly, he can keep ticking over with goals.
Despite Spurs' fixtures, would you not suggest though Salah, Fernandes, and then one of Son and Kane? Would you be advocating both?
Well, it depends whether you're a fixtures or form manager, doesn't it? I think if you're a fixtures manager and you really want to attack the fixtures, then that double that if it gets confirmed for Spurs,
Burnley, Southampton at home, it could be, yeah, but yeah.
It's really, they are really good fixtures, and it's a way of differentiating yourself from people, because I think everybody in that week is going to have one of them, aren't they? So if you want to try and do something different and get an edge and you're chasing, then I think going to Son and Kane is an option. But like you say, yeah, the form doesn't maybe justify it at the moment. It's not, they don't look like putting 6 goals past anyone like they were at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're another reason would be, you know, if you don't have your free hit for 29, having an extra Spurs player over Fernandes or Salah works because United and Liverpool don't play in the blank. So
yeah, no, you're right.
It's very team dependent. Depends on, you need to, like we were saying last week, you probably need to make a little roadmap for your team, like Callum did on Twitter, and just look at.
Yeah, I think if you can roadmap to 29 and then worry about 30 onwards when it comes, because I think there's an international break between 29 and 30 when I looked, so you can kind of do a relentless plan to then, and then kind of take a breath and refresh and take a look at your next moves after then, I'd say.
Yeah, so should we move on to what we're doing this week then? I mean, you've already said pretty much what you're doing. Is that kind of like
pretty much nailed on? Souček for Rafinha, Antonio for Kane. If it was early in the season, I already would have made them transfers because I think Rafinha's gone up midweek, but just with so many games, and I'm just gonna wait until the deadline, I think.
Yeah, I mean, how much bloody more team value do you need? 107 million. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but it's worked, hasn't it? I'm doing well, and I've got money in the bank. When we come to Wildcard, I'm just going to copy your team and have one extra premium player.
You like the Jeff Bezos of FPL, just hoarding all the wealth. what was I going to say? Actually, I want to bring in Rafinha. I'm not really sure who to take out. There's part of me that thinks I should take out Foden, but then that actually leaves me with 2 City players. But the other option would be Son. But yeah, so I need to decide whether I want to have Kane and Son next week, or do I want to have 3 City players next week? So either Son or Foden to Rafinha, and then next in game week 26, I'll then bring in Kane for Antonio.
Interesting. Could you obviously talked about Ings, Antonio to Ings potentially? Just looking at your team now. Or you kind of set on Rafinha?
Well, if I did Antonio to Ings, I'd then have to take Ings out straight away the week after to bring in Kane. So
right.
it'd be a very short term sort of thing.
Right, and you definitely set on Kane 26, then fixtures kind of, so you wouldn't just settle for Son.
No, I think Kane, I think there's going to be people, we've not talked about it yet, but I think in game week 26, there'll be a lot of managers triple captaining Kane in that week, because we just talked about how good their fixtures are.
Yeah.
So I think, and like Kane's just a more consistent source of points over Son. Like he's got the assist and the goal threat, and Tottenham, they rely on him so much, as we've said in previous pods. If I was going to have one of the two, it'd be Kane, definitely.
Yeah, same here. That's why I'm looking to bring him in.
And then what else do we need to talk about? I think that's. Oh, we had a question, didn't we? From Baroon, I'll say, seeing as he keeps moaning about me saying his name wrong. I'm convinced that's not his name. I'm so but yeah. What was his question? Something about when to use the wild card. So when to use the wild card, and he doesn't have his free hit left. So yeah, he needs to look at what he's going to do in game week 29. So if he's wild,
he doesn't have his free hit. Yeah, I'd dead end my team to then 29. I'd build my transfers around 29, and then wild card immediately after would be my advice. Don't know if you got the same.
Let's have a quick look at his team. What if he doesn't have many double game week players in 26? Because I imagine he was asking because he's thinking of doing it soon.
Let's look at his team. Edison 1. Burnley, they've got one, haven't they? 2, 3, 4.
Burnley's double's
5,
pretty bad though, isn't it?
6. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's still got 9 double game weekers there. I don't think I'd be wildcarding right now if I haven't got my free hit left. I think his team's still going to look good for 26.
Yeah. So I think that could be a way to get to 29, and then something.
The way to do it, I'd say, is if he wants to make a transfer for 26, is bring in Villa or Spurs, because they've double in 26 and have a game in 29.
Yeah, exactly. That's if and that advice holds if the Premier League add Spurs to game week 29. So at the moment in game week 29, there's Brighton versus Newcastle, Fulham versus Leeds, West Ham versus Arsenal, and it's predicted that Aston Villa versus Spurs is going to be added to that game week.
I just think it's a bit of a shit game week. I wouldn't be free hitting, or I wouldn't be wildcarding with that game week in mind.
Because
I don't know about you.
Yeah, because the point it'd be such a low scoring week.
I just think it'd be quite low, and I just don't think that's the game week where anyone's going to make any ground, really.
Yeah, so I think if you've already got a team with 8 or 9 players who are going to double when the fixtures get announced in 26, you can hold your wild card and use it to fix a problem later on, which I think is what we're both planning to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having spoken about it. So it's annoying that we're both on the same page with things. I'm going to have to start doing some mad shit to try and catch you.
It's only 5 points, isn't it? So as long as you've got something little in the bank every week, you can kind of keep yourself. Well, you got 10 last week, so as long as you got a little Loughton in the pocket, you never know.
Little Loughton. It was funny watching the post match afterwards, and Jay Rodriguez was saying, "Oh yeah, Loughton puts him away like that every day in training." I was like, he's not scored in 8 years. What are you on about? He puts him away like that every day in training. But yeah, great piece of luck there with Loughton. I think that's everything for this week. Like we say, annoying that we didn't have the double game week fixtures confirmed. Kind of had to freestyle
Yeah.
what we were saying with the advice, but
It'll give us something to talk about next week, I suppose.
yeah, hopefully it's been a bit clearer than what we were saying last week. And let's hope that Leeds beat Southampton, seeing as we're both getting Leeds players and avoiding Southampton by the looks of it.
You captain Bamford?
Well, captain
Rafinha?
and Rafinha could be one of the mad things I do to try and catch you.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, I've not decided on that yet.
But it's going to be a Leeds player.
Yeah, it'll be a Leeds player. It'll be Bamford or Rafinha.
All right, everyone. Mindy's going to captain Salah.
I guess just to give a quick mention, the single game week player who could outscore the double game week is Fernandes of Newcastle at home.
Yeah, they look bad, don't they? Yeah.
So if for people who aren't getting in Leeds players for the double, Fernandes is probably going to be the captain, isn't it? So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's just more fun, isn't it? A double. I'm always swayed by the double. It could be Burnley having a double. I think I famously captained Shane Duffy for Brighton when they had a good double, and I think he got 4 points across the doubles.
I don't know why you're shouting that out on the podcast, mate. God, Jesus. No, I did the same actually. I don't know what everyone was thinking.
Was that 2 years ago? Yeah, I think everyone did it. It was like a Twitter thing.
Oh well, what a way to end this week's podcast. Shane Duffy, triple captain. Yeah, fingers crossed we get some fixtures soon, and see you next week.
See you, mate.